Why going all in on our health usually backfires for most of us. If change feels overwhelming, it's simply not you, it's not us. It's the all-in-one approach, as I like to call it. So welcome back. I'm Nicola and host of Freedom from the Desk, truth teller for health, wellness and in the business realm. So this is a really good topic to be talking about today because I think it covers a lot of space when it comes to trying to make a change in our life, whether that's food, whether that's for our health, whether that's for our state of mind, whether it's how we're going about our day to day. So today I wanted to talk about the truth, my truth for when it comes to our health and our food and our routines and when we want to actually improve ourselves, because so many people decide they want to feel better or make a change and then immediately try to change everything across the board. And this is where a lot of us stumble and fall because we have this very much all or nothing approach. And I say that in air quotes for the people that are on the video, sorry, for the people that are listening on the podcast, is because in today's society, it's very much attached to, if you want to achieve something, it's got to be very much all guns are blazing and you've got to make all these massive changes to accomplish something. And that, in my mind, is just wrong, and it's setting us up as human beings for a fail. And this applies to, if we're trying to up our pantry or change our habits or look at the way we want to focus with our mindset. Exercise is a great example of this. Supplements is another one, and also sleep. So we're going to unpack a lot of this today and talk about why, when we try and make these changes in whatever realm we're trying to achieve this in life, it tends to just fall over. Think about it from the perspective of the New Year's Eve resolution. We're all party to having set a New Year's resolution, and predominantly 95% of the time they fail because we go in with these big ideas and these big changes. I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and do an hour's workout, or I'm going to exercise at home, and we just fail. We fail miserably because sometimes we may be setting the goalpost a little bit too high, but essentially we're not the problem. It's just the method in which we're actually trying to attain it. So I touched on earlier the phrase, all guns are blazing, right? So let's talk about the common pattern we actually kind of see with that. People get really inspired. They get all fired up and they decide this time will be different. Again, air quotes for those people listening on the podcast. And they go really hard and they try to overhaul their whole life or their whole existence of what they were trying to achieve in one simple hit. And it quite honestly, it just becomes exhausting, expensive, and quite unsustainable because we're not programmed to make change that way. And then we just stop. And then the circle of shame kicks in, right? So we're not setting ourselves up for success. We're actually setting up ourselves for failure or for collapse, right? And to give you guys some examples, like throwing out the entire pantry overnight if we're trying to overhaul that way that we eat, or deciding to cut out every processed food immediately. Believe me, I did that. If you've not looked at my health story, you can go back and watch that video. It's very hard to make a big change in your life through making big steps. So some more examples are like signing up to gym, do a gym membership, or a meal prep plan, or a meditation app, or a walking challenge, all in say one weekend or 1 week, or telling yourself every Monday from Monday night everything changes. I'm just going to go cold turkey and change. Now I just like to put a caveat on this because I spoke to my husband about before doing this video, and he's an ex-smoker, and he said this only applies to this doesn't apply for giving up smoking. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this because he goes, you've just got to give up cold turkey. It's not just something that you can kind of ease into. And I thought it was a really good perspective from him. He hasn't been a smoker for over about 25 years. But he said, I've tried everything. I tried the slow approach. I tried doing patches. I tried just lowering the number of cigarettes that I was having. And he said, and I couldn't do it because this is a form of, well, it's a form of addiction, and like our food habits are as well, but it's a lot easier to move away from that than it is with smoking. So I'm very aware that some people can go cold turkey, but as a rule, the kind of compound or very slow effect of eking something out of your life can be just as effective. It just doesn't have that instantaneous sort of grab of sense of fulfillment, because when we're making these changes in regards to our health and our wellness and our mindset and things that we're trying to achieve in life, it is very much a compound effect, and it does take time to see those changes. And of course, as human beings, we're the most impatient things on the planet. So coming back to why this actually happens, right? Because, and I've just touched on this and just what I've talked about, we crave fast relief. We want everything instantaneously. We think big change requires big action. And of course, we want to feel in control. That's just a basic need of human beings. And we confuse intensity with actual effectiveness. So big emotional decisions often create unsustainable plans. So let me just read that out again. Big emotional decisions often create unsustainable plans. So this is why people do the dramatic reset or 30-day cleanse or all those sorts of things, is because it's quite dramatic, and that's why a lot of the time, and I don't mean like everybody, some people can do this. Some people can do, the big reset, the 30-day program, or they may take to a duck to water like going to the gym and they actually stick to it. But a majority of us don't. Okay? So I want to talk about this from the angle of the nervous system, all right? Why too much change at once actually feels like a threat for us. And our brain, whether we like it or not, actually likes really familiar patterns. So even good change can feel really stressful if it's too much and too fast, because our brain doesn't know what to do with it. It doesn't consider it normal behavior. So I love to give you guys analogies so you can kind of make the information that I share a little bit more digestible, and I love a good analogy. So think about the car in the garage, right? You can have the most beautiful, stunning car sitting in the garage, full tank of gas, beautifully cleaned, ready to go. But if you actually never drive it anywhere, nothing changes, right? So good intentions are the same. A pantry full of healthy food means nothing if your habits don't move or switch to change that. I mean, look at the fruit and vegetables that sit in our fridge. A lot of time, they're people that try to instigate change in their life around food. They'll go out and they'll buy all the green veggies and the fruits and the rest of it. And a lot of the time, putting the honesty hat on, they will just end up being tossed. They will go bad because they may have the great intention of being mindful and trying to do these recipes and the rest of it, but they've just gone out and brought these beautiful fresh fruit and vegetables, which is fantastic, and then basically they just expire in the fridge and they just end up getting thrown out. So they may have one healthy thing, the kids may have a couple of bits of fruit or whatever, and it's, in their mind, in our minds, it's an epic fail because they've had to throw all this fruit out. So it labels our brain, this behaviour, as being a failure, which is in a sense wrong, right? Or another analogy is trying to renovate your whole house at once. It just would never happen. We'd have a mental breakdown for a start. You wouldn't renovate your kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, backyard all in the same weekend and expect to stay sane, like I just said. But that's exactly how a lot of people actually treat their health. They're trying to undo a lot of damage that we've caused ourselves over a very short span of time. And then this is why people get frustrated, and it's like, I'm not seeing any change. The weight's not falling off me. And that's why you see this yo-yo in dieting. Now I'm going to talk about dieting versus health in a minute. This is a real bugbear of mine. But let's just get another analogy in because I can. So climbing a staircase, right? Trying to jump to the top. You wouldn't climb a staircase and jump from the bottom stair to the top stair in one jump. Superman maybe, but you don't. You take one step at a time. So think of it that way. Think of the analogy that way if you're struggling to kind of unpack what I'm talking about here when it comes to health. It's very small and it's very incremental. So you're building up health habits. You're taking one step at a time to get to the top. So essentially, change needs a direction, not a drama or a big poster child headline that goes with it. So let's talk about actually what works instead. So number one is really easy. Start with one change. One simple change. Not 10, not 2, not 3, not 5. One change. Okay, so some examples. You can swap out one processed snack that you might be kind of quite partial to. Or you can get into the habit of reading one label a day of a product that you might buy. So if you're just in the supermarket and you're racing around getting these, maybe you think, I want to switch out what's an easier one? If I want to switch out, say, a cream, right? So you would think all cream was built equal, but it's not, because some creams, some from some manufacturers actually have emulsifiers and fillers and thickeners in them. So get into the habit of reading one label a day to make the change and give yourself the option of making a better choice. Or it could be replace one cleaning product that's currently in your house when it runs out. I would encourage you to do it before it runs out because we've got this attachment to stuff that we have to use it up. And I think if we can replace a product that we're trying to bring wellness into our home, get into the habit of just doing one small change. Become the label reader, become an expert at reading labels and looking at your ingredients, and cook one meal from scratch each week. So do a little bit of meal planning. As boring as that may sound, it's a great way to introduce regularity into a system that you're trying to build. So if you want to eat better, or you want to use those fruit and vegetables, and if you're struggling to come up with recipes, you might have, my husband's a great example of this, talk about him a lot in this episode. He will open the fridge and there will be fruit and vegetables in the fridge, and he'll go, oh, there's nothing to eat. And I understand that, I really do. So if you're struggling to come up with a healthy option, maybe consult an AI like Copilot or ChatGTP and say, I'm really struggling to put together a simple basic meal. I want to have a healthier choice. I don't want to have takeaways tonight. The ingredients that I've got, to make some simple quick suggestions. Maybe say we can include pizza with that, or whatever the case may be. And it will spit out a couple of recipes for you. And so that's a really great way to bring choice into your life if you're struggling with the whole food scenario, right? So make choices that make your life easier. So prep chopped vegetables, right? It's boring, but it's practical. And have a go at making a healthy breakfast. Again, consult maybe some AI if you're struggling to come up with ideas for breakfast. My husband is a big toast in the morning person, but we try to get into the habit of using rolled oats and things like that, and just prepping all in one little jar with rolled oats, some Greek yogurt, and some nuts and fruits and the rest of it, and basically put that in a jar overnight, and then it's ready to go in the morning. So it's a matter of investigating what little changes you can make that are going to make your life easier in the future. Okay, and we need to keep telling ourselves every small win to our brain. We need to keep reiterating that like a hamster on a wheel and go over and over it. These are all small things that are worth celebrating, right? So you could say things like, I'm someone who follows through with my meal prep. I'm someone that is going to drink my glass of water before I have tea. Okay, and let those little simple changes take effect before you move on to bringing something else in. So, and don't stack 5, 10 new habits on top of each other just because you've had a little bit of a win. Because Sustainable changes are actually layered, not loaded on top of each other. So to make this a bit more sort of real for you guys, I want to talk about how I sort of integrated this into my life. I didn't change everything overnight. It was a very slow process. I did make a decision to make this change overnight because my health was very fractured and very damaged, not through the choices that I'd made, well, some choices that I'd made, but I have a form of arthritis called ankylosing spondylitis, and the disease, unfortunately, it had a real chance to advance because of misdiagnosis and because it had gone managed for a very, very, very long time. But when I discovered that food is a great key to solving a lot of the issues that I was moving through in regards to the inflammation in my body and just helping that as well as the medication that I'm on, it made making those changes a lot easier. So if you're struggling with knowing that you want to change the way you live your life, through whether it's through your health or your wellness or your mindset or the way you just do things within inside your business or at work, I really can't reiterate enough the small changes do make a difference, right? But we'll just focus on food for this part of the story. So for me, I really double down on reading labels because the preservatives and the junk that is in our food, if you can call it that nowadays, I'll try not to get on my hobby horse, is basically fundamentally killing us very, very slowly. And I put it like this. It's like people don't see the change that's happening every day. And when you consume the same food day in, day out, whether that's for fizzy drinks, whether that's putting a product that's high in additives and thickeners and colours onto your fork, into your mouth every single day, whether it's through breakfast or whether it's through sauces that you may incorporate in, or whether it's through cereals that have lots of colours in them, or whether it's just through our good old chocolate snacks that we love. Those little snacks are harming us every single day because they are taking a teeny tiny bit and a teeny tiny bit the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day, and they are compounding and they are building into something within the body that is actually harming us, and that in turn turns into illness and comes out in the way of diabetes and cancer and other, not so nice things. So think about the big umbrella. Think about the overall effect that some of the things that you incorporate or have in your life that you think, oh, it's not doing any harm. I just have a mouthful or a glass of my, tonic water or Coke or whatever it is every day. It's about the everyday scenario. It's not about the bit that you're taking. It's about that consistency. It's about the same toxic toilet cleaner that you may use every day, or it's the same chemicals that are in your toothpaste every day, or the bleach that you're cleaning your house with every week. It's those consistent things that enter our lives that are actually causing us this umbrella approach to us really struggling with our health. So I really implore you to look at a root cause, not trying to, again, using that phrase, come on, all guns are blazing, and eliminate everything in your house, because that is going to be really hard. And essentially for me, that's not what changed my life. It wasn't a giant overhaul. It was lots of very small changes that happened repeatedly over a period of time. And it's normal for us as human beings to actually want the answer immediately because we're quite impatient souls, right? And our health is often built through a lot of accumulated decisions, and that's not fun. Let's be honest, it's boring. It's boring as all get out. But again, I want to reiterate, tiny shifts, compound effects, have the biggest impact for us in our health, right? Pick one thing, right? What's one thing that actually could make the biggest difference right now for you? And the next thing I think I want to focus on is momentum, right? Focus on the momentum that you're building, not the perfection of actually doing it behind that. Because momentum will always trump everything that you're doing. And perfection will always shine a light on what we're not doing. Okay? So, to close out for you guys, if change feels overwhelming, it's not because you're incapable. We are very capable. It's because we've been taught normally the approach is very much all or nothing when it comes to making changes in our life. But the real change doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be screamed from the roof. It needs to be actionable and repeatable for you, the person that's undertaking it. So I implore you, don't go all guns a-blazing. Choose one clear, grounded step that's going to fit and work for you, that you can actually sustain. Because that's actually how we grow health changes, is choosing one thing and moving forward from there. Now, to finish on, I wanted to talk about something that I touched on earlier, and that is the word diet. Again, I'll try not to get on my hobby horse, but diet, I saw a wonderful post many years ago on social media, and it was a little graphic, and at the top it had diet and underneath it had health, right? And then highlighted within those words was die and heal. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to die if you go on a diet, but this is the analogy between dieting and being healthy, because a diet is very much a short-term thing. It's all about the focus of achieving something, like it might be loss, or it might be getting the summer body, getting the bikini body. It's not really related to our health, and health is more about healing what's actually happening within inside of us. So when we heal, we have better health. But when we diet, we're just chasing an entity of an outcome, and we're actually doesn't have that sort of umbrella approach. So I wanted to finish with that because it's a really nice analogy if you're struggling with, someone's trying to upsell you on some sort of diet management plan or something like that. Healing yourself through food can be immensely powerful, but it can also be really damaging if it's tied up inside the word diet, because our brain, again, associates that word with something that is to be achieved as an expected outcome. So at the end of 30 days, you would have lost 10 kilos or whatever it may be. Being healthy is not about a number on a scale. It's about a holistic approach to looking after your body, your vessel that's going to be with you for many, 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 many years to come. And a diet will only sustain you for a period of time, versus being healthy will sustain you for a lot longer. So on that note, I'm going to sign off. If you have any questions about today's video or podcast, please reach out and comment below. I'm going to put some free resources at the bottom of this video. I have an additives free cheat sheet that you can download via my webpage. I'm not selling anything on my webpage. It's purely a lot of resources and information that you can access around mindset, home swaps, and food swaps as well. So I'll put the link to my little cheat sheet at the top. I think it's 30 chemicals and additives that are most commonly in our food, and the side effects that they can cause, and obviously some of the countries that they're actually banned in outside of Australia and New Zealand. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm really passionate about sharing the story around our health and wellness and mindset for everything, the whole coverage of the umbrella in regards to us as human beings on this planet. So until next time, have an awesome day.